tell me what happens behind Shark Tank first. The whole process of before you enter the tank.
So you know the process. You apply. There's a in-person audition round, and after that they call you directly for Bombay.
Okay.
And you land up there. Everybody stays in the same hotel. So it's like a hotel full of Shark Tank participants. Then they take you to the studio. It was my first experience actually being in a proper studio. I had no idea what it looked like. So basically there are huge rooms which are just black. They just have black walls and they suspend these sets there essentially. They're creating worlds in those spaces. So the first day they just take you through the studio, make you meet the business team, the production team, all of them. You meet different teams who will be working with you. And the first day they actually take you through, the business team sort of walks you through the process. They question you on your numbers and things like that. And the production crew starts to work on your pitch, right? So essentially you're there for 4 days. The first 2 days is you just getting your pitch and your setup proper.
So how much of your pitch was yours and how much was it helped by them?
I would say most of it is ours.
Okay.
They're just there to sort of tell you what will work. Because essentially you have 2 minutes on TV, on national TV to say whatever you want
Fair
to.
enough. Okay.
How can you say something that's going to have an impact?
Got it.
So they know their business well and you know your product well and they sort of help you fine tune your pitch essentially. So
So 2 days, pitch is ready now.
pitch is ready. Third day, there's no rehearsal, right?
Okay.
Rehearsal is just you looking at the mirror and talking essentially. So pitch undergoes multiple rounds of refinement, right? You have your first version, they tell you not to mug it up, right? And if you have to do it, they say do it in the last moment. The most challenging part for Prithvi and I was that it was in Hindi, right? So
No, that's been with a lot of people I've heard.
it's really hard. And something as technical as mushrooms, where everything is some scientific jargon, for us to communicate that in Hindi was very difficult. And Prithvi is normally the one who does all the talking. She's extremely comfortable being on stage and she's really good at it. But here she had to sort of take a back seat because her Hindi is terrible. Mine was slightly better because I spent my bachelor's in Rajasthan. So I spent some time where I learned a little fair bit of Hindi. But she couldn't really help on stage. And whatever she spoke also sort of like taken out. So the first 3 days is just rehearsal. Then while all of this stuff is happening, you have to also give them what you want on the screens, right? There are 2 screens. There's a big TV and a vertical standee. So you have to work with them on what you want to put there. Most companies have teams, dedicated teams for this, right? But since we were a small brand, and at the same time, unluckily, there was a trade show happening in Delhi, and we had to sort of come for this and miss that one. So our team was there.
Okay.
So there was nobody that we could reach out for help. So we had to do everything while we were there in Mumbai. So we set up all the digital assets. The third thing was getting the display ready. So you can use whatever they have, which is standard tables and things like that, or you can get your own custom display done at your own expense. They won't pay for this. So they have their vendors who you speak to. They can connect you with people and then you sort of brainstorm with them and get something
That's
done.
the product display.
Yeah, that was a giant mushroom in the background. What you can see on stage right now, all of that stuff was done with their help. So getting that put together was extremely stressful because that thing finally we saw like 10 minutes before we went on stage.
Okay.
Right? It was going on for 3 days, but it never really happened. So refinement of all of these things is what happens over that time. And if the business team or if they have any concerns, they'll come and they'll talk to you. You might have to clear some things for them. If your pitch has some issues, they might change it. And for us, that change kept happening till almost the last moment. Because they're like, no, you can't use this word. You can't say this. You can't do that. So that's sort of what happens till that last moment. Most of the time, you're just waiting for your turn to talk to the team. Right? You're just in one room and you get called to another room. Then people escort you throughout. You can't go anywhere. Even if you have to go to use the restroom, somebody has to come with you.
Okay.
Right? Because there's multiple things happening there. There's Kaun Banega Crorepati and multiple other shows happening. And if you enter the wrong room, you're now in a different set. So they don't want that to happen.
Okay.
So you have people following around all the time. So if you want to go somewhere, it's like you're back in school and you're like, listen, can I please use the washroom? And then the guy escorts you till there. It's a little awkward. So that happens throughout. Right? And then they keep calling you to a different room. There are multiple different rooms. One where the production crew sits, one where the business team sits. So you're just constantly being shuttled between rooms. And when this thing is over, finally they take you back to the hotel. And this keeps happening for 3 days essentially.
Okay. So your pitch went through multiple iterations until the last moment.
Until the last moment, it went through multiple iterations.
Okay. And then you're on stage here.
Yeah. Then basically they shoot your walk. They shoot that once before you do it.
Okay.
Right? And that music was giving me like stress for the longest time. After I did that walk twice with Prithvi, and I was constantly sweating. The stage, the whole studio is like at some 12 degrees. Right? Because they have seriously really hot lights there, and they don't want you to sweat or any of the makeup or whatever to run. Despite that, both of us were getting like sweat patches. My face was becoming sweaty, and we were extremely nervous before walking on stage. The time that you pushed that door and walk in, that was very stressful. That walk was shot separately also, and also when you do it. And then there's this marking on the ground where you have to go and stand, all of that stuff.
And that's when you meet the sharks for the first time.
That's when you meet the sharks for the first time. The first 2 minutes is uninterrupted. Right? You get 2 minutes of your time from the time you go on stage till my ask is. That's your pitch essentially. That's rehearsed. Everything after that is.
How much of Nuvedo did the sharks know before your pitch? Do they know everything about you?
No. They don't know anything about us, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're basically tossing a coin based on a 2-hour conversation. And 12 minutes of that is what made on TV, essentially.
Okay, so now I want to know the remaining 1 hour 38 minutes.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Because there is something which I feel is a miss here. But anyway.
There's a lot of things missing in here.
But that's for every pitch. But here, suddenly something is flipping here. I mean, they like you and then they don't like you.
The 2 minutes that we actually said on stage is not the 2 minutes here either.
This is shorter.
They omitted a lot of key things inside this and changed the narrative a little bit. Because a lot of what we pitched was for Make in India. Because if you look at the market right now, almost all the exotic mushrooms sold in India are coming from China.
Okay.
Right? And that's what we were sort of pitching for. And most of the times you test these mushrooms, we've personally seen it also, they test positive for heavy metals, for pesticides. They'll give you all the COAs. Certificates of analysis are given to you. They'll give it to you however you want it.
And you have no control over what the editing is, right?
Nothing. So you're just like crossing your fingers and hoping that they put it out in a way that doesn't make you look bad.
No, but the pitch was nice. I mean, sorry, you know what you had prepared.
Right.
But we are saying what is there.
Right.
I think
More or less, they kept it the same. But they did omit a lot of like key things that we had to say.
So what was your expectation when you went, and what was the expectation? I mean, how did it turn out ultimately?
Expectation was very simple. We had to come on TV. Funding or no funding, it didn't matter to us. Yeah, of course, it would have been great if we got the money. But we are not banking on it. We are not like, our complete business plan depends on if the money comes from the Shark Tank. No. We needed to come on TV, right? And we needed to do anything that could get us there because we put in all the effort to go on stage, spend 4 days of our time and hours in that stress. So how do we come on TV? Everything we did on screen was for that, including the mushroom growing kit, the time lapse. All of these things were put together so that they'll bite on something and then we make it to TV, because we were not sure if we get funding or not. And if you don't get funding, the chances of you coming on TV are very less. So you would have seen in one, right? There's just one episode in the end which comes for the brands which don't get the money. So for us, it was very clear. Come on TV and spread awareness. And that happened.